Good afternoon. We are continuing on with this last unit that we have. We are on CO68. We have tomorrow's objective and Thursday's objective, and then we're done with that unit. You are responsible for reviewing on your own, making your own help sheet. Next week, Monday, is Memorial Day, no school. Tuesday is the practice test, Wednesday is the real test, so make sure you are ready for it. Today we are doing CO68. I can classify a triangle by its sides and angles. So what is a triangle? It is a polygon with 3 sides and angles. The angles always sum to be, anyone fill that in? Elliot, 180 degrees. So your 3 angles must equal 180 degrees. Always. Always, always, always. There are different types of triangles, and they're classified either by their sides or by their angles. It's important to know if it's a side triangle or an angle triangle, because you also have to label your triangles. So if it's a side triangle, you have to label the sides correctly. If it's an angle triangle, you have to label the angles correctly. This is what a lot of us have struggled with when we've seen it in like Math 6 reviews. So we're gonna really focus on it, make sure we have that mastered. Classifying a triangle by its sides. So on your help sheet, you're gonna want to write side triangles and then write these 3 triangles under it. Okay, so a scalene triangle has no congruent sides. So when you draw and label a scalene triangle, each side should have a different measurement. Labeling the sides. An isosceles triangle has 2 congruent sides. So when we draw and label an isosceles triangle, you are going to want 2 sides the same, 1 side different. And an equilateral triangle has 3 congruent sides. So when you draw and label it, they all should have the same side measurement. When we are talking about the sides, it doesn't matter what they equal. We're not adding up sides to equal a certain number. That's only for the angle triangles. We only worry about adding together to equal 180 when we're doing the angle triangles, when we're putting in measurements for those angles. When we're talking about the side triangles, we are labeling the sides, just making sure we have the correct congruent sides. Okay, there are none that are congruent, 2 are congruent, or all 3 are congruent. Any questions on our side triangles? All right, so we have those side triangles, and then we have our angle triangles. Again, it's important to know which name is a side and which is an angle, because if you label it incorrectly, if you give me sides and it's an angle triangle, it's going to be wrong. So you want to make sure you specify on your help sheet, these are my side triangles, label the sides. These are my angle triangles, I need to label the angles. There are 4 angle triangles. The first one is an acute triangle. So the acute triangle has 3 acute angles. So I need to put in a measurement for each angle, not a side. It needs to go in for the angles, and all 3 of them need to be acute. Could I put 30, 30, and 30? Those are all acute angles.
No.
Well, I see somebody else shaking their head. Yeah, they're all acute. Why is it a no, Henry?
Because all the angles have to be 180.
180 degrees, magic number. So 30 plus 30 plus 30 is only 90 degrees. It would be marked wrong. You have to label those degrees, and they have to equal 180 degrees. So I could do 40, 60, and 80. Notice how I'm putting in the degree symbol. I don't want to see that degree symbol for a side measurement. Side lengths are not degrees. We only use the degree symbol for the angles. We need to make sure that all 3 are acute, and when I add all 3 up, 40 plus 60 plus 80, it equals 180 degrees. A right triangle has 1 right angle. So I'm going to have 1 right angle. I can put the box there, or I can write 90 degrees, because that's what a right angle is. I am not done. What else do I have to do to this triangle? Holden.
Label the rest of its sides.
Nope. Label the rest of its.
Oh, vertexes? No.
You said label the rest of its sides.
Angles.
Angles. Yes. I need to label all 3 angles. What measurements could I put in there to make this accurate? Bo.
45.
I could put 45 degrees here. Then what would I put here, Bo?
45.
45, because 45 plus 45 is 90, plus 90 is 180. Could I put 30 and 60? Yeah. Right? As long as they all add up to be 180 degrees. Next one, obtuse triangle. This has 1 obtuse angle. So remember, our acute angles are all acute and little less than 90 degrees. Obtuse angles are greater than 90 degrees. So when I draw my triangle, I need to show 1 angle that's obviously bigger than 90 degrees. I need to label that angle that looks bigger than 90 degrees. That's the one I'm going to write as a degree that's bigger than 90 degrees. So if I say that's 120 degrees, what could I put for my other 2 angles, Holland?
30.
I could put maybe a 30 degree here. Then what would I put here, Holland?
30.
Another 30 degrees. Could I put other numbers? Sure. As long as when they add together, they equal 180 degrees. And we have one that's obviously bigger than 90 degrees, labeled bigger than 90 degrees. Our last one is an equiangular triangle. That has 3 congruent angles. What would be an example of degrees I could put for this one? Ellen?
60 degrees.
If I put 60 degrees here, what would I put for another angle?
60 degrees.
And what would I put for another angle?
60 degrees.
Is there another equal angular triangle measurements I could use. AJ, you're giving me a thumbs down, why not? Why can't I do 40, 40, and 40? Because it's not going to equal 180. The only degree measurement for an equal angular triangle is 60 degrees, 60 degrees, and 60 degrees. As the only way we can add all three up to be 180 degrees and have them all be congruent. Any other degree measurement's not going to equal 180, so it will not be correct. Any questions on my angle triangles? Again, on your help sheet, you're going to want to label it. These are my side triangles, and this is what they mean. Definitions. These are my angle triangles and their definitions. So you know if it's an angle triangle, I expect you to see putting measurements in for the angles with the degree symbols. If it is a side triangle, you are labeling the sides, no degrees. Details matter. Not as hardcore details as our previous units, but details matter. Okay. Let's look at the bottom of the page. It says classify each triangle by its angles and sides. So we're going to write two names. We're going to write its angle name and its side name. Look at our first one. How would I classify that? So looking at your definitions, what kind of triangle is this? Ellie? Yep, it is isosceles because I have two sides are congruent. So that's its side name. I also have to give its angle name. So what would its angle name be? Joe? Yeah. All three angles are acute, but they're not congruent. So it's not an equal angular. It's got to be an acute isosceles triangle. Let's look at our next one. What name could I give this one? Ellen?
Scaling triangle.
Scaling, because each side is different. What's the other name? Because I have to give both names. Clara?
Right.
I can see it has one right angle, so it's a right scaling triangle. You could also flip it and say a scaling right triangle. I truly don't care the order, as long as you have both labels listed. Last one. What would I call that triangle? Elliot? Scaling, because all three sides are different. What else would I call it? Bo? Obtuse, because I have one angle that is bigger than 90 degrees. So always, always, always look at the directions. If it's asking me to put two names to it, I need to put both names. Directions, those little details. All right, our work page for today. You are going to draw the triangle, describe, label each side length and angle measurements. So you need to, if it's scalene, what are we labeling, what can you label the sides with? If it's a scalene, acute scalene, label the degrees appropriately. Remember, when we're doing angle measurements, they all have to add to equal what number?
180.
180 degrees. Keep that in mind. Pay attention if they're acute, equal angular, or obtuse. Then it says, determine if the given statement is true or false. If false, explain why. Okay, so you can't just do T and F. If it's false, explain why it's false. And your review. So look back at previous objectives if you forget what those words mean. Our test is next week. We need to remember these words. Any questions on today's assignment? When you are finished, if you have practice work and retakes to do, get your practice work done. Come check in with me with it. Work on those math packets. It is calm, quiet work time. Colton, just patience. Okay? Did you sit at that table yesterday,
Yes.
Colton? Did you sit at that table yesterday, Henry? I'm going to let 2 other people sit at that table. Okay? All right. If you are listening at home, I hope you are well, and I hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.